Well, if you're looking for a nice spirit to keep you warm during the cooler temperatures this fall, why not get into some whiskey? Jamie Johnson, National Brand Ambassador for Glenfiddich, joins us. Not just whiskey, we're talking legendary single malt Scotch. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Bob. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. So, of course, Glenfiddich can be enjoyed year-round, but there's something about whiskey, and Scotch specifically, that it is a fall drink, or really popular in fall. Is it because it just warms the bones?
I think that's part of it. I think there's a couple reasons. I think, there is kind of this flavor profile of Scotch, these beautiful, rich caramels and vanillas that kind of remind us of the season. And then, you also have these like these nutmegs and these cinnamons, and it's very fall reminiscent. So it kind of makes a lot of sense.
It should be in a pie.
Exactly. And I think even the way we drink Scotch, just that kind of like mellow, like sort of cozy gathering, like you really want to sort of spend some time with it. It's different from the like boisterous kind of, summer cocktail. It's a little bit more chill. Like you want to get in front of a fireplace.
Right. Yeah. Now, I want to ask you before we get into our recipe this morning, because I really enjoy it on the rocks, but do purists poo-poo that?
I mean, they do, but I'm not sure why. I'm not a purist, for the record. I think we are here to enjoy our single malt however we want it. And the whole thing about Glenfiddich is it was built on the idea of, not maintaining the status quo. We wanted to, push boundaries and experiment. And I think part of that is enjoying your single malt, whether it's with a splash of water, with a lot of water, with some ice, or in a cocktail. And I think it's your bottle. It's up to you. You do whatever you like with it. We're not doing that stodgy thing anymore where, we're only allowed to drink it one way. I say you do whatever you like.
Yeah, you be you. Okay, what are we making this morning?
So this morning, we're going to do an old fashioned. Now, I have pre-prepared it because I am not a bartender and I'm not looking forward to going viral for my poor technique. So what I kind of did here was I put a little bit of our bourbon barrel reserve. This is our 14 neat. And I just wanted to do like sort of like a nosing in terms of, the differences between what you're going to get here and what you're going to do in the cocktail. So the cocktail is a classic old fashioned. I would highly recommend making this with bourbon barrel old fashioned. It is 14 year. It's finished in American oak. It's got that really nice classic single malt pep to it, but with like a really cool like country twang. So it's got this really lovely kind of very oaky, a little bit charred, which kind of like gives you that smokiness. So on its own, that's all you get. But in a cocktail, and an old fashioned is so simple. It's literally just simple syrup, about half an ounce, 2 ounces of your bourbon barrel 14, a splash of Angostura bitters, a beautiful ice cube, and on the end, I want you to just zest a little bit of orange on top of it, just to give it that kind of sprinkle of brightness. And again, it seems like such an autumn thing, having that slightly kind of bitterness of the orange. I don't know if you've heard of those like simmer pots that you put on the stove during the fall and you throw cinnamon and you put in, an orange zest, and it just sort of like the fragrance of it just absolutely sort of fills your senses. But the nice thing about it is it doesn't overwhelm the spirit. And a classic sort of spirit-forward old-fashioned is going to give you that beautiful Glenfiddich Bourbon Barrel 14 backbone, and then that sort of like autumn fragrance that goes with it. So that's the one I highly recommend doing, especially over the weekend.
Well, that's a great suggestion. Yeah. How old is it? It's as I mentioned off the top, a legendary brand. How old is the name?
Well, we've been around since 1886. So, just a little while, just long enough to, just long enough to kind of, perfect the art of single malt. And again, like I said, the whole idea, especially behind bourbon barrel, and even the one that's right next to it, which is our Glenfiddich Fire and Cane, is the idea of experimentation, the idea of pushing boundaries. William Grant, who founded our distillery, he was the one that basically said, we're not going to just maintain and do the same thing. We're going to build the category of single malt.
And still family owned, right? Generation after generation.
Still family owned, still family operated. If you go to the distillery, you'll probably see one of them kicking around.
Okay, well, let's go shopping. Less than 30 seconds left. So the 14 year, how much of the LCBO?
14 years, it was $79.95 at the LCBO. So great price point, really approachable in terms of a single malt. Great for gifting as well, with that season sort of around the corner.
Yep.
And something that you would feel fine with putting in a cocktail, as well as drinking
Fantastic.
neat or on the rocks.
Yes, yes, thank you, Jamie Johnson, brand ambassador for Glenfiddich. Good to see you.
Thank you.